Hello everybody, my name is Emma St. John, and today I'll be presenting on what, at least I think, is a kind of fun topic, which is CSS Keyframe Animations. So what are keyframe animations? Keyframe animations let you change an element gradually from one style to another. And they're especially nice because you can create them without having to use JavaScript or Flash. One of the defining features of keyframe animations is that they use these things called keyframes. And keyframes are a set of frame that indicates the start and the end states of the animation style. So in order to use CSS animations, you first have to specify the keyframes for the animations. We can see here that I have two examples. The first one uses from and to on this left-hand side. And from is the equivalent to 0%, or the very start of the animation, and to is the equivalent to 100%, or the very end of the animation. In the next, we can see that we use these percents over here, like 0%, 25%, 50%, and 100%. And with these, it'll tell those specific times that the element will be those specified things. And with keyframes, we can add more of these frames or less depending on what we want to accomplish. So to create a keyframe animation, I'm going to start by using the @keyframe. And when we use this, we have to follow it by the CSS style that we want to use. And unlike transitions in keyframe animations, a series of effects play on the element. So it's important that we need to bind the animation to an element. In this image to the right, we can see that the keyframe animation is named example at this top, keyframe examples, and in it we can see that it's bound to this div. And we can see that it's bound to this div because we have the animation name is example, which would go back up to this keyframes example. So I mentioned that animation name property and how it's important, and now I want to discuss some other important properties in keyframe animations. First, we have animation duration. And animation duration, this property defines how long of time an animation should take to complete. If we don't specify the animation duration property, the animation won't even happen because the default is going to be 0 seconds, so it won't take place. Next is the animation name, which I mentioned earlier, and this is important because it specifies the name of the keyframe animation, which we can bind to an element. The animation delay property specifies the delay for the start of the animation. So in the animation delay property, we can use negative values as well. And if we use this negative value, the animation will start as if it's been playing for the amount of time that we specified. And finally, we have this animation iteration count. And this property tells us the number of times that the animation should run. And for this, we can also put infinite, which would make the animation continue to keep running. So now we're just going to look at some of these properties actually in use. So here we can see that we have our div, and then it's bound to this the animation name example, which is down here, this keyframes example. And in it, we just have this box, 100 pixel by 100 pixel box that's red, and it's going, because of the 0, 25, 50, 75, 100, it's going from the top to the right, the bottom to the left, and then back up to the top. And while we do it, we have these background colors, which are going to change while we're doing that. So we can see our animation duration is 6 seconds, which means it's going to take 6 seconds to complete this entire animation. And then we can go ahead and write animation delay, and we can put, let's just put 2 seconds, which means it's going to wait these 2 seconds, and then it's going to start and do the animation. We have the 0 seconds, which means it's just going to start immediately. And then we can also on this one put negative, which means, as we saw, it's going to start over here at the bottom like it was already 3 seconds in. We can change it to 4 and it'll start over here and go back up. And those just the properties have. So I'm going to change this back to 0. And next we can add our animation iteration count. And let's just put 2. And this means it's going to complete the animation 2 times and then stop. I'm just going to change this to 2 seconds. And then if we want, we could change this also to infinite, which means it's just going to keep on going and that it won't stop. So, going back to some other properties, another property that we have with CSS Keyframe Animations is animation direction property, which specifies whether the animation will be played forwards, backwards, or in alternate cycles. And there's 4 values that the animation direction property can have. And they're normal, reverse, alternate, and alternate reverse. Normal does exactly what you think it would. It runs the animation forward as normal, and this is the default if we don't specify an animation direction. Reverse plays the animation backwards. Alternate, the animation moves forward first and then backwards. And then alternate reverse does the opposite by running the animation backwards first and then forwards. And these are easiest to see, once again, if we just in person by example. So if we just go here, type in an animation direction, we're just going to put normal, which will just keep doing what it's doing. Reverse. This is when it's going to start going backwards, as we can see here. Then we have alternate. It's going to go forwards, then backwards, then forwards. And then finally we have alternate reverse. Which will start backwards and then go forwards. So the next property we have is the animation timing function. And this specifies the speed curve that the animation will go and how fast they're going to go at certain points. We have ease, which the animation will start with a slow start, and then fast, and then slowly. And this is once again like the default if we don't specify. We have linear, which animation the same speed from start to end, as we can see here, and then ease in, which specifies a slow start to the animation. We have ease out, which starts and then has a slow end, and ease in and out, which specifies the animation with a slow start and end. Here we just have these 5 different divs that each are showing the different type of animation timing function. This top one is the linear, so it's going at the same speed. We have the ease, starts out fast, and then ends slow. We have the ease in, starting out slowly. We have ease out, starts faster as well. And then we finally have our ease in and out. And finally, we have the fill mode for an animation. And the animation fill mode, which tells us what values are applied to the animation before and after it's executing. So none is the default value, which the animation will not apply any styles to the element before or after executing. So it'll go back to the original. Forwards, the element will retain the styles values as been set by the last keyframe. So it'll keep the styles of the last keyframe that it completed. And backwards, the element will get the styles value of the set back at the first keyframe and will retain this during the animation delay period. Oh, so this one we can see it ends and then it goes back to the first keyframe. We have forwards, which will end and keep the last keyframe, which is the yellow. And then we have backwards, which will keep the first keyframes and go back to the red. So that is keyframe animations, guys. I hope you guys learned something and enjoyed this presentation. Thanks for watching.